Hello, everyone. Welcome to Power of Cloud webinar. Thanks for joining in. Let's wait for 2 minutes for other participants to join, and then we'll start. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vikash, and I represent XenTegra as a field CTO. So today we have a webinar series which we have termed as a Power of Cloud. And thanks for joining. Let me walk you through with a little bit of clarity on understanding what XenTegra is before we start the actual content. So XenTegra is a solution provider. They also act as a service provider and value added resellers. We started XenTegra by Andy Whiteside, and we are into the 4 core areas, which are value added reselling, strategic consulting, managed services, and complementary assessment. Now, what we do in terms of value-added reseller is most of the reselling which you see is just selling the licenses, selling the services, and after selling they don't look at what happened to the customer. So XenTegra strongly believe in community services, right? Which means we build a community of customer, resellers, OEMs, and we contribute to the community by doing value add. One of the core value add which we you can see is a complimentary assessment which will provide to the customer free of cost. And in this complimentary assessment, we provide, look into the core strength, weakness. We run the strength, weakness chart for the customer, and provide the feedback to the customer in terms of what they can, how they can improvise their environment. In the managed services part, we have a set of 24/7 coverage for major technologies, and including Citrix as well. So within Citrix, we have coverage from the three geos: Canada, US, and also we started in India. XenTegra India is net new additions in our portfolio of the set of companies within XenTegra. We started our operation in January 2023, and we started this journey. So today we have been joined by Sandeep Wake, who is basically 15 years expertise, having a 15 years expertise with Citrix. He has been he was in part of the Citrix for a while. With that introduction, I will hand over to Sandeep to introduce himself and walk you through with today's presentation. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Vikash. Thank you, XenTegra team. I think it is absolute my pleasure to be on this call and deliver a message from CSG. Right? As we all know, we have been acquired, and we have a new name, which is Cloud Software Group. And within this Cloud Software Group, we have different business units. One of the units is Citrix, and the other unit is NetScaler. Obviously, we have all the other units. For example, we have Hypervisor, we have TIBCO and Jasper Soft and everything else. So today I would be focusing upon Citrix and NetScaler business unit, and I'll be giving you an overview update about where we are looking ourselves, right? By all the analyst perspective, by all the feedback perspective, by all the review mechanism perspective, we are the most comprehensive user workspace, right? When I say user workspace, it is how do you deliver applications, where do you deliver applications, and what level of experience and security is imbibed in that applications, right? So let's quickly look at where Citrix is as of now. So today, businesses run on Citrix, right? If you look at any of the Fortune 500 company, right, 99% of the Fortune 500 companies leverage Citrix. From market share perspective, we are the #1 market player, and we are leaps and bounds ahead of our #2 competitor. From integration perspective, now integration is absolutely essential because a user workspace is not simple one, right? There are lots and lots of devices. There are printers, scanners, biometrics, swipe cards, so many of them, right? There are some special hardware for special industry verticals, pharma, manufacturing. Now, Citrix has a 6,000 plus ecosystem integrations, which is massive, right? And this is purely because our sheer passion to make sure that our product is not a niche product. It is like a custom fit for any industry vertical, for any user profile in that any industry vertical. We have more than 700 strategic partners, and globally, right? These are not the licenses that we have sold, right? These are 100 million active users. These are active users, right? We're not talking about just a number which is, given to the customer, but this is actually consumption, and this is daily, right? Same thing with our NetScaler portfolio. NetScaler, we are in 90% of the Fortune 500 organizations, and roughly 200,000 websites are front-ended by NetScaler. Anyone who knows NetScaler is it starts with basic load balancing, and we are front-ending more than 200,000 websites, and this includes websites of very different scales, very different demanding situations, the banking, the betting systems, everything, right? We are proven to handle 5 billion transactions every day. Every day we handle roughly 5 billion transactions through our platform, and every online travel, right, goes through us. So if you are booking any online travel in United States, it goes through NetScaler. All of those websites are front-ended by Citrix, or one of those mechanisms is front-ended by Citrix. And 8 of the 10 credit card transactions go through NetScaler, right? Which means that today when you swipe a card or you do an online payment from a card, 8 times it will go through a NetScaler box. So let's look at what the uh, uh, situations where Citrix has a very comfortable play. When I talk about Citrix, I'm talking more from a business challenges perspective. And what are the typical challenges that we see in the industry as of now? So first one we see is empowering hybrid workforce, right? And this is not about pandemic. This is not about remote work. Even before pandemic, there was a trend, there was a need, necessity for people to work in a hybrid way for multiple reasons, right? If you flip over the newspapers 5, 6, 7, 8 years back, you would still see government organizations. You will see a lot of organizations wanting to reduce the travel time, make sure employees have a healthier balance of work and personal life. um, and that is the reason why hybrid was always there, right? The pandemic only accelerated it, made it more prominent in the face of all of us. But that remains a number one challenge, and Citrix effectively addresses it. We'll see all of this in a bit of a detail going forward. Device flexibility. Now, with the hybrid workforce comes multiple devices, very obvious, right? Today, if you look at yourself, we have not just one device, right? We'll have at least 2 devices, at least. And then we will have maybe a home PC, a corporate PC, and stuff like that. And we want to work from wherever we can work. So that is the idea of device flexibility. Security compliance, hands down, this remains our number one use case. This also remains the number one business challenge because the threats are increasing, the threat actors are increasing. There is external threat which has evolved to a very massive degree. There are internal threats which are changing the landscape of applications and IT, right? So security and compliance, we have been recommended, we have been leveraged for all these years by all the critical industry verticals, right? For example, when I talk about banking, finance, I talk about defense. When I talk about government, right? If those verticals can leverage us, I'm pretty much sure, right? Any and every vertical can leverage us. Um, uh, uh, Next challenge is slightly obvious, but not so obvious in most of the businesses. App sprawl, right? Which applications are used by which businesses and which users? At any given point in time, there is no 100% view of it. And that is a part of the problem because then IT is not sure, and then there are a lot of shadow ITs and stuff like that happens, right? Businesses are entitled to take their own decisions, which is perfect, right? They have to be agile, they have to be working, but that also creates a challenge, which is centralizing, which is, which applications are used by which users and which businesses. Finally, mergers and acquisitions, there is no stopping to this, right? With every industry getting consolidated, merger and acquisitions are a part and parcel to it. Now, where and how we solve that problem? And answer is hybrid. If you look at all of those business challenges in the previous slide, right? One thing was common. There are two discordant things which had to be, which have to work together. And this is where Citrix scores, right? Hybrid is not only about cloud, right? No, it is not only about cloud. Hybrid is about everything. When we talk about merger and acquisition, it is a hybrid network, it is a hybrid data centers, it is a hybrid authentication. Everything is hybrid, right? So where Citrix gains is hybrid management, right? We will see this in detail, but in a quick one-liners, I'll try to add this. Hybrid management, you want to run your workloads, you want to run Citrix, you can choose to run the Citrix the way you want to run it, right? You want to use it as a service, you want to build it on your own DIY kind of a thing, all those options are open. Hybrid identity, with all these merger acquisitions, contractual staff, temporary workforce, everything, right? The demand of multiple authentications has increased. In fact, it has not only increased, it has become necessity because you don't want to have everyone in the same directory structure, right? The full-time employees, the temporary workforce, and everyone, right? Hybrid workspaces. And this is quite interesting because most of our applications are getting modernized. And obvious outcome of this modernization is either these applications tend to be web-based or SaaS-based. And we have done a heavy investment on how do we deliver web and SaaS apps, right? Linux was always there. We all know from a device perspective, Citrix has always been the market leader. Pick and choose any device, and we will have the most supported devices. At the same time, we will have the most refined experience, most featureful, refined experience on any of those device platforms. I'll not go into depth of hybrid work and networking, but it's more about where do you want to users to be accessing from, and where do you want the workloads to be, and that's the idea of hybrid work and networking, right? In a simple way, hybrid networking is on-prem multi-cloud networking, and hybrid work is a user accessing over internet. Could be a home internet, could be office internet, could be a a customer place internet, right? So with that, let's go to the next part of it. As a marketplace, right? As a market state, we see a lot of evolution in terms of security, and the buzzword is zero trust, right? Zero trust network access, zero trust access, SASE, and everything, right? Even before these terms were coined, even before this technology or these principles were envisioned, right? Even before Google came out with a thought process that something like zero trust should be there, right? Even before they named it, right? We were always zero trust. So we were zero trust way too before than the industry thought of zero trust. Now, what is zero trust? I'll quickly summarize in 2 seconds. Is which user, what devices, what network, and which application or data they are trying to access. And when they do this, what kind of security posture you want to put on those applications. For example, if the user is coming into the office with an unknown device, right? Office network is a known network. The device is an unknown device, and the user may be a temporary user. Then do you want to give which applications and at what security principles? That's what all zero trust is about. Obviously, there is a network zero trust network access imbibed in over here, which means we were always VPN-less, and we continue to remain VPN-less, right? Since the birth of Citrix, we were always VPN-less. So we are right zero trust even before the zero trust was envisioned. In a very simple and secure, in a very simple and sorted way, any network, any user, any device, there's a fully secure access, VPN-less access, encrypted access. Even if the encryption is compromised because of the attacks, our screens are always protected. We have a built-in encryption, so you can actually have double encryptions, right? Then the whole Citrix platform, and then the web and SaaS applications that we have. And we'll talk about SaaS applications in a bit, but that's something which we are doing as a part of the secure access, right? Make sure that no matter from which device, no matter from which network, a SaaS application is getting accessed. So let me just bring my pointer. So no matter which network the user is and which device they're trying to use, we can still deliver a very secure experience on SaaS applications and web applications without exposing them to the internet, right? For example, today, if you go to your home PC and try to access Salesforce or a Workday or anything, right? Office 365, very prominent application. What measures as an organization can you put to ensure that the application data is not misused, the application data is not compromised? And this is where our web and SaaS app story is into the picture, right? They give you a secure access from any device, be it unmanaged device, be it unknown device, on any network, be it a home network, be it anywhere, right? Coffee shop. And we allow you to access SaaS applications, web applications, and put tons of security features like anti-key logger, anti-string capture, upload, download restrictions, all those things, printing, scanning restrictions, all of those things, right? Watermarking, right? So this is the thing that we are into. And the difference between Windows and SaaS and web applications is uh, when we talk about Windows, we're talking about applications which are centralized, running in a data center. The client applications are centralized and running in data center. For example, Outlook is a client application, and you centralize it in data center and deliver it via Citrix. But in the new approach, we are not talking about hosting a browser in the data center. We're talking about the browser being on the endpoint, wherever it is, and users accessing it directly from that browser. There's no compute requirement on the data center side. All the compute, all the performance is derived from the endpoint itself, right? And we have done pretty much innovation over here is we have got into our own browser, right? So something which is really unique is there is something called as Citrix Enterprise Browser. This is something which we have invested heavily. And the reason why we have done this is because most of the applications, as we heard, right, most of the applications are turning into web applications or SaaS applications when they are modernized. And the obvious client is a browser. And if you're able to secure the browser, we are able to solve the puzzle, right? Now, even if the device is unknown, even if the network is unknown, I can be sure, as an organization, I can be sure that my web applications, SaaS applications, data cannot be compromised. Think about all the unsecured browsers that are running out in the world. Think about all the unsecured plugins that are there in the app, there in the browsers, right? Unsecured plugins. You don't know what that plugin is going to do, right? So all of those can be successfully circumvented, can be successfully avoided, tackled with the help of Citrix and the new offering that we have. So let's go to the new part of it. We have a platform which is unified, getting more and more unified, which means that today you look at infrastructure space. When I say infrastructure, it could be customers having their own infrastructure or customers relying upon um, uh, uh, co-location spaces, relying upon private clouds, public clouds, and God knows what, right? We become one single platform. We become one single window to run the workloads wherever the user, wherever the organization wants it to. For example, today, if you talk about running the workload on AHV, we can do it, right? Talk about running it on ESX, we can do it. Talk about running on Hyper-V, we can do it. Bare metal, we can do it, right? Remote PCs, directly accessing the PCs, we can do it. Run it on Azure, AWS, GCP, Oracle, any combination of ESX on Azure, ESX on VMware, ESX on, ESX on AWS, ESX on GCP, and all the other combinations, right? For example, Azure Stack, right? All of those are available with us. We can leverage all of those platforms and run on those infrastructure. So this is a unified platform that we have. It also becomes a unified platform from apps and endpoint perspective. Think of it this way, right? No matter where the applications applications and the application servers are running, right? From the client application perspective, there's always a challenge. If you have 1,000 laptops, 1,000 different clients, and then you have to start maintaining it, managing it, right? Centralize it, and and no matter what type of application it is, right? Whether it is a legacy application, a Windows, a bespoke Windows application, a Linux application, or even a web or a SaaS based application. It could be a collaboration application, TCP based applications, UDP based applications. No matter what and where those servers are, we become one single endpoint management software, right? When I say endpoint management, I'm talking about sorting the clients of those endpoints and making sure that a unified platform is available to deliver it. Right? Security and control, again, we have a unified platform, primarily because from Citrix perspective, when you do a centralization, when you have a Citrix in front of the client applications, security becomes extremely easy, right? You put a policy, and no matter where the user is, what device the user is trying to access from, that policy gets automatically applied. Right. For example, today, if you want users not to download anything to the Citrix container, right, and access it over the iPad, right, it does not. It becomes extremely easy for us, right? You put a policy, and no matter what device the user is, he's on iPad, on Android, on a Chrome OS, on a Windows machine, on a Linux machine, on a Mac OS, right? That single policy is getting applied across all the places. So no upload download, right? It also gives a very, very far superior security control. That's primarily because when we are talking about centralizing the client applications, you exactly know which applications are used by which users and how and when are they using it, right? You know what frequency they're using in, how much time they're spending on those applications. It also helps you control in terms of your compliances, your audit processes, your reporting mechanism, right? So control is perceived in multiple ways, and it starts with very simple thing, right? How do I control the app sprawl? First of the way, right? How do I control which users are accessing from where, right? And what and how, right? So control becomes extremely easy because everything is centralized, and now you can put rules around it, right? By the way, even the web and SaaS applications, although I said we have invested in our own browser which runs on the endpoint, all the security and control, everything is from the unified control plane. It's a unified platform for hybrid cloud, and we will see some interesting statistics on this part of it. But before I go to that part of it, let's understand what is hybrid cloud, right? Hybrid cloud is nothing but you have multiple clouds and you rely upon your on-prem mechanism as well. So that's what the definition of a hybrid cloud is. Think of it this way: you have your own private cloud in your data center, and then you work with, let's say, AWS, right? So that's a hybrid cloud definition. Multi-cloud is you have you have AWS, you have GCP, you have Oracle, right? You have Azure. That becomes a multi-cloud situation. Now, when we talk about hybrid cloud, and the reason why we talk about hybrid cloud is because we are moving towards the cloud, right? We, as in the organizations, are moving towards the cloud. Which means that most of the workloads today are still on-prem, and that's where the hybrid things is more and more important, right? And we being one platform which has zero lock-in for infrastructure, we saw in the previous slides, right? No matter which platform you choose for running the workloads, we are there, right? They're already integrated natively without any lock-in with those platforms. How do we add value is cost optimizations, and we will see these numbers in a bit amount of time. Primarily think of it this way, right? Cloud is, and we all know this, right? You keep a machine running and it just starts consuming dollars, right? How do we make sure that the machines are started and stopped at the very right time so that there is no impact from the business perspective and there is no run for the dollars, right? So that is what cost optimization we have built into our system. Security and compliance perspective, I think I can go on talking about it, but we have the most feature rich, and we'll see some slides around this. So from a hybrid cloud perspective, we'll talk about security compliance and operational controls, and we'll see those features. But whole essence of we doing the native integrations is multifold. First is there is no lock-in, right? Today we're not saying that if you want to run, you have to run on a particular combination. No, you bring up any hardware, you bring up any hypervisors, you bring up any cloud environments, you bring up any combination of them, and we are there, right? Now, the security and compliance comes into picture over here is because we do native integrations first, and second, our security, our policies, everything is same all across the place, which means that today you run it on Azure, AWS, GCP, you will not find a single policy, saying that no, this will work on this or this will work on that. Absolutely no, right? From a flexibility and elasticity perspective, I think the whole essence of cloud is to be flexible, to be running the workloads on demand, and controlling the spawn of the VMs running on cloud. And we have built features to that aspect as well. When it comes to delivering the applications, again, we are the unified platform because it starts with how many applications a user has. And no matter what kind of applications, what type of applications the users are having, we are able to deliver them, right? When I say deliver, what is deliver, right? The first thing is how do they access those applications? Username, password, multi-factor, we do all of those things. Where do they see those applications? We have a very convenient workspace app. Most of us would have seen that workspace app interface, and you see all the applications that the user is entitled to at that point in time, because everything is contextual. All these application icons, one single place, right? They don't have to go here and there, right? And all the application visibility is taken into consideration based upon the device type, the device form factor, the network, and everything, right? So you can create rules that if those conditions are met, then show this application. So the same user logging from multiple devices, multiple networks would have multiple applications, would have different application view. But the good part is there is one single place where they have to go to and start looking for those applications. There's a common policy that I've been harping around it. No matter which applications, where and how they're accessing, our policy remains same, no matter what type of applications they are, right? Today, you go and talk to, transformation OEMs, and they say, we can do this, we can't do that. But Citrix, being the amount of time we have in the market, being the amount of effort that we have put into developing our systems, and our legacy, our history is what we have maintained. And that is the reason why you pick and choose any application which works on dot matrix, right? Done, right? Application which handles passbooks, specific kind of printers, right? We can do that, right? At the same time, we are innovating, and that's the reason why we are able to answer all the new age applications. For example, today you talk about SaaS-based applications, and do we have a mechanism to deliver those applications, secure those applications? Absolutely, yes, right? And again, right, any device has always been there with us, and with more and more devices getting onboarded, I think we are getting more and more sharper in this, right? We are able to run workloads on Android-based tablets nowadays. So that's something which we keep on innovating and keep on pushing ourselves, right? So I talked a lot about hybrid cloud, hybrid multi-cloud, and I just want to double click on this because cloud is not something which is if and then kind of a situation. It is there, right? To what degree, to what extent it is getting used, it depends upon organization, depends upon the use case. It depends upon lot many regulatory compliances and lot many regulatory needs as well. But it is no more just a choice, right? That okay, maybe I can do this one, but it is becoming more and more mainstream. And we would obviously be working with all those cloud providers since day zero, right? Since they're day zeros, and we have ensured that workloads would run anywhere and everywhere. right? But what is the biggest benefit that we get from cloud is, if you, and we did this study across multiple customers, and we found out that for those specific cases, right? Again, these are numbers, these are to be taken in a particular way, but these are the numbers which we have derived from the field, and what we have realized is, if something which is all cloud, right? Something which is all cloud, then there could be some pricing around it, per user, per pricing, per user, per year, right? If there is on-prem, there is some per year, per user pricing, right? But why do we have a fluctuation, or why do we see fluctuations, is because of our temporary workforces, right? Because of our disaster recovery requirement, right? Because of merger and acquisitions that organizations go through, right? So think of it this way, right? There is this blue line, which is the static consumption, and then there is this another wavy line, which is about all the phases that go in an organization, right? There would be contractual staff, temporary staff who's onboarded, offboarded, shuffled and stuff like that, right? Based upon the need, based upon the cyclical nature of the business. There are obviously DR requirements, and there are obviously merger acquisitions and activities like that. Now, if you put all of those things into place, then a hybrid strategy always turns out to be cheaper, right? A hybrid strategy always turns out to be cheaper because you can offload maybe the contractors on a cloud and have full-time employees, regular employees on-prem, and then you're getting best of the both, right? You're not investing for the contractors which will be there for let's say a couple of months, and then they are not there, right? So you try to rationalize the cost, and this is why I think it is very, 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 very compelling, right? uh, I think whatever I have said, right, this slide kind of summarizes a lot of those aspects, right? About that unifiedness, anyness is what is over here, right? If I start from the leftmost side, peripherals, right, ecosystem, 6,000 or 7,000 plus integrations that we have done. Think of all the peripherals all across the world people are using, pen, cameras, printers, USBs, and USBs not just mass storages, right? They could be signing, or they could be um, devices to cite a document, right? So they could be secure USB devices as well. Then think of all the platforms, right? You look at any platform and we are already there, right? We are there with niche platforms. We're there with some thin clients and everyone over there, right? Unified communication. I think pretty much this covers everything in the open space that is used largely by organizations, right? And this has become the mainstream, especially after pandemic. The way we are collaborating, the way we are calling is changed, and these platforms are a lifeline for any sort of user workplace, right? On the rightmost side, the delivery models, the operating systems, the delivery platforms, which means our vision of unified is reinforced, right? Our vision of unifiedness, anyness is reinforced. At the same time, you can use all the authentication mechanisms, and you can run this across anywhere in the globe, right? Um, I'll not go into each of this point, but again, I want to make sure that you understand how we are developing at a grassroots level, right? Our innovation is tied back to one or the other actual industry user profile requirement. And think about on-demand scalability and uninterrupted business continuity. Now, this may look like everyone would need it, but we have gone way, way, way too ahead. We have developed algorithms, we have developed technology, which will burst into the cloud and help you run workloads for a specific amount of time, dynamically. When I say specific, dynamically burst into the cloud, right? Imagine the power it gives you to handle uncertain workloads, or some random workloads, right? Think about multi-monitor support. Now, what's so fancy about it? Most of the OEMs will do this, but we have gone way beyond multi-monitor, right? We are now able to do split monitors. You get a huge screen and you want to split it into any number of virtual screens, we can do it, right? Think about 3D graphics, 60 frames per second, and possibly even more than 60 frames per second, right? Recently, a couple of months back, our PM, dropped a blog, talked about how we are innovating on the graphic card capabilities, and we are massively beating our own benchmark, right? Forget competitors. We have left competitors long time back, but that is the kind of innovation we are investing in, right? Think of this, right? App protection policies. Now, that is the one thing which was always a gap in our conversations, right? The screens are going to the endpoint, the keyboard is on the endpoint side, right? How do we make sure that those cannot be compromised? And Citrix, being the leader, innovator, for all these ages and creator of this space, we are the only OEM who had thought about this problem and actually found a solution. So no matter where our screens are going, right? No matter which keyboard you're trying to type, right? Anyone or even trying to capture the screen in the software is prohibited. Anyone trying to capture the keystrokes in the software is prohibited, right? And those machines could be unknown machines, unmanaged machines as well. So you are now more confident about your BYOD strategy, or you're more confident about people using their own home PCs, or contractors, people like us, right, walking into a customer place and using Citrix managed machines, right? So that is still a perfectly secure combination for organizations. With that, I think I'll switch the gears and I will very briefly cover NetScaler as well. And this is again, right, as I said, it's a high level view, right? And something we saw about NetScaler a couple of slides back, right? It is massively present in the Fortune 500 companies, 90% plus Fortune 500 companies, right? It is not just a reverse proxy. It is not just ICA mechanism, right? ICA gateway mechanism. It does lot more, and we will see a brief introduction around this over here, right? What things drive as a vision for us is a reliable performance, right? When we say that, the public cloud providers use us, right? The public cloud providers, they rely on NetScaler to run their public cloud, right? Think of it this way: a public cloud provider leveraging our appliances, our hardware devices, our softwares to make sure their cloud offering is available. How big is that, right? SaaS providers leveraging us. So performance is absolutely crucial, right? We're not talking about seconds. We're talking about microseconds. We're talking about few microseconds, right? And since we are into the path of the application, we are also able to look at a lot of the application data in a particular way and provide a level of security and protection. Again, right, since the application data is moving through us, we know which endpoints it is going to at, and we know from which servers it is coming from. We have a very high observability of those applications. And then it is versatile. What is versatile, right? Versatile is in this particular space that NetScaler is, which is typically referred to as application delivery controllers, and they span from doing load balancing to content switching to GSLBs to WAF and everything. In this space, no other OEM is as versatile in terms of platform support, in terms of deployment support, in terms of licensing support, right? That we are. We are the most versatile in terms of our licensing mechanism, in terms of our support, platform support, right? And we will look at those aspects one by one. Now, when we talk about versatility, when we talk about those things, what are the three things that will come to my mind is one code base. Now, what is and why this is important, right? No more it is a world of hardware devices, right? The world is changing and it is more and more mix, right? Obviously, you cannot have a hardware device in a public cloud. You need to have software-based appliances, right? And the whole application transformation is taking it to the next level, because people are discussing about monolith versus microservice architecture, and both have their own plus and minuses. And we are present with the same appliance in all of those form factors, right? Whether you want to run this on a bare metal, whether you want to run this on our own hardware, whether you want to run this as a virtual appliance, or whether you want to run this on a public cloud, or whether you want to run this as a container form format, right? So one code base is huge, because as an administrator, as a application, as a DevOps guy, DevSecOps guy, you don't have to interface different with different devices, right? As a IT head, your strategy is simplified. You are no more having different platforms for different requirements, right? You have one single platform which handles multiple requirements, one pass architecture. And this is very nice, and that's primarily because we all know, right, the traffic in the line, right, traffic in the line has to be secured, encrypted, and when the traffic goes through an appliance, it has to be decrypted to be understood, and actions have to be taken. Now, once you have multiple things done with NetScaler boxes, you are able to leverage our one pass architecture, which means we decrypt it once, and then we can do L4 DOS attack. We can do SSL encryptions. We can do AAA VPN kind of a thing. We can do WAF bot capabilities, API security, and load balancing and content switching, right? All of those things in just one encryption, a decryption cycle, right? Don't have to do it 10 times, right? If you go to our competitors, they would say, let's do load balancing with something else, and let's do WAF with something else, and let's do, VPN with something else, and which all of this causes a broken experience, right? With us, it is extremely simple. One platform license. By the way, the one pass architecture also helps us score over all of our OEMs, right? We are leaps and bounds, right? We are double digit better performing. We are double digit lower latencies than our largest competitors, right? When I say double digit, I'm talking about upwards of 10%, 20% difference in the resource requirement, and reduction in the latencies, so that the websites are delivered faster and experiences are better and better. We have one single platform, one platform license. As I said, right, we are versatile, and that is the reason why we are versatile, right? You either choose instance, you choose bandwidth, you choose the hardware aspect of it, and then it is up to you. Where do you want to deploy it? How do you want to use it, right? So you may think of it, right? Today, I want to use this in on-prem. Perfect, right? You use it. You are done with your testing, and maybe 5 days on the line, you think, let me do this testing in Azure. Then you can lift and shift that licenses into Azure. No questions asked. You don't even have to come to us. You don't have to inform Citrix, right? You lift and shift that licenses from on-prem to the cloud, right? It works seamlessly, right? And because of our one code base and versatility of availability of platforms, you can move that licenses anywhere, right? You may think about running it on bare metal. You may think about running it on Azure, AWS, GCP, Oracle, KVM, Nutanix, ESX, right? Think of any hosting platform, and our licenses would work on those platforms, right? Now, again, I don't want to go through this in a very detailed way, but I think we do a lot of things which are extremely relevant, and this slide just captures the whole essence of it. It captures about application delivery, the things that we do with application security, where and how we are hosting, auto provisioning, right? The OAuth top 10. So net, you think about it in this way, right? Whether you want to talk about it as a load balancer, whether you want to talk about it as a as a availability mechanism, whether you talk about it as GSLB mechanism, multiple data centers availability mechanism, right? Whether you think about it as a content switching. I know I'm getting slightly technical over here into the depth of it, but the essence over here is application availability. We can do each and everything, right? Application security, which is typically referred to as web application firewall, and you can see us doing everything, right? The basic checks, for example, OAuth top 10, right? IP reputation, right? Fraud detection, DLP, behavior learning. We have all of those things built into it, built into our platform. You want to create custom policies for WAF? No matter, right? You can create any sort of complicated custom policies and you can do this, right? You want to achieve a PCI DSS compliance? We will help you do that, right? We have checks, we have practices which ensures you can do it very easily, right? So the idea is, as a platform, I think we are very mature in terms of not only delivering the application, but also securing the application, right? And obviously, as I said, right, where you want to run this is absolutely up to you. And our licensing is the most flexible way of running that platform. So I think with that, I have almost come to the end of my session, and I'll open this up for questions. But before I open up this for question, right? I think this is the messaging that I want to pass to all you folks, right? One is hybrid is the fact of the life. Now, hybrid is not only about cloud, hybrid is about so many things: devices, applications, authentication. Think of anything, and if they are too discord things, then they are like, there's hybridness over there, right? But that does not means that you have to have siloed solutions. That does not means you have to have one solution for one way and another solution for another way, right? We are one single way of doing that thing, right? Whether it is whether it is BYOD strategy, whether it is managed device strategy, right? You don't have to have a different tool to do your BYOD and manage devices. You can have one single tool, right? I'm just giving an example, right? So hybridness with Citrix and NetScaler, hybridness is actually a way of unification of technologies with Citrix and NetScaler. So with that, I would request Vikash and Inderjit to join me and answer questions. I'll just stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep, for such a detailed insight into the product of the roadmap and everything. Indrajit, do you see any questions over there?
Let me check. No, at least there are no questions in chat box. Anyone, any questions, you can put it in the chat box or just speak.
Yeah, they can also raise their hand in case they have a question.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think the larger intent is, you may, there's a lot of information that we have conveyed over here, right? You want to digest that information, come back to us any point in time. I think we are more than happy to take questions any point in time. It's not about this 3 minutes or 4 minutes of exercise.
Sure. So what we'll do in the since there are no questions, so what we will wind up this session, and thanks everybody for joining. We will share the recording and with them if they have any questions over there.
Yeah, and just one thing I want to add. So whoever missed this particular webinar, we are even going to, it will be live, or it will be this particular webinar will be recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. So even anyone wants to see it, they can go it on our YouTube channel and go through this webinar.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sandeep, for your valuable time. Appreciate your joining us. Thanks,
Thank
Indrajit,
you.
for hosting us. Thanks, everybody. You have a
Thanks,
nice
Kapil.
day. Take
Thanks,
care.
Vikash. Thanks, everyone.